Hi guys, Richard from EcoStream here again. Today I'm going to show you how to do a pressure and flow test from a water meter for an oval. We have this oval here behind us. As you can see, we've got some irrigation running on. This irrigation at present is running from a pump and tank which they put in probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. Council have now asked me to do a flow and pressure test to ascertain whether they can water back off the mains directly than rather go through a feed with a pump and tank. So I'm going to show you how to do this flow and pressure test now. Okay, so look, we've had a slight change of plan here. One, the meter wasn't accurate enough, it didn't go down to enough like litres per minute. And two, if you have a look at the RPZ there, couldn't get that undone, couldn't get access into that cage to actually undo the ferrules to take a test. So what I've done is I've actually just come off this valve here. This valve there actually feeds the pump and tank via 24 volt, and so I've just disconnected that and I've put my test kit on here. So what I have is I have a water meter, I have a pressure gauge, and I have an isolating valve. So what we'll do, I'm going to do a static pressure first. I'm just waiting for this glue to dry. I'll do a static pressure first and just find out what the pressure is in the mains, and then I'll do a pressure test at 600 kPa, 500 kPa, 400 kPa, 300 kPa, and I'll take a note of the flow of each of those pressures. So we'll just wait for this glue to dry and then we'll get into the testing. So I've got a static pressure of nearly 650 kPa. So now we're just going to bring that down to 600 and we'll just see what flow we get. Just turn this on, get some water out. Okay, that's at 600 kPa, and I'm just going to time this for a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to do one last pressure test now at 200 kPa. Let's just see what we get. Okay, so here's our results. We had a static of about 660 kPa. At 500 kPa we had 130 litres a minute. 400 kPa we had 170. 300 kPa we had 205 litres a minute, and at 200 kPa we had 230 litres a minute. What this test tells us is that this system coming off the mains is not adequate to feed the irrigation. It did have to go through the pump and tank which is existing. We pretty much need about 560 kPa coming from the meter to allow for all our head losses to run about 3.64 litres a second to run the irrigation. We haven't got that. We started getting to that flow rate at about 200 kPa, but that's well below what's required. So as you can see, it's good to do these tests. Obviously, when the council put this in with the pump and tank, it was a prudent decision because this would not have worked otherwise. So basically what they do, they pump from here into some holding tanks up there behind the pavilion, and then a pressure pump elevates the pressure, and then it feeds irrigation on the oval. But the good thing about doing this test is, if you are going to put a pump and tank in, well then you know that at 230 litres a minute, at 200 kPa, you can actually feed that tank. And that'll give you about a flow of 4 litres per second. So by having the 4 litres per second going into your tank, you know that you can work out your refresh and refill rates going into that tank, and when you're drawing out from the system, you know that pretty much having the same flow going into the system. So you'll be able to keep up an adequate supply to the pump when the irrigation's running. So that's about it. I mean, not all these tests look like this. It's just I couldn't get into that reduced pressure zone. I could not get those ferrules off, so I had to sort of jerry-rig this up. But our normal test kit looks something like this: water meter, pressure gauge, and then a gate valve to adjust our flow. That's it. So we'll see you next time. Good on you. Cheers.